Supposed to do this. Okay. All right. So I'm excited to welcome you to this morning's sessions on transitioning after high school, presented by Sarah Shelton and Megan Stevenson. Sarah Shelton is the Director of Day Services Program of New Adventures for You offered by DDSI. And Megan Stevenson is the Director of Erskine Green Training Institute. Please welcome Sarah and Megan. Welcome. So they're going to share with you an overview of the day program and post-secondary vocation trainings. Then they're going to go over specific programs. So we're going to start with Sarah. And you may go.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you all for joining us. Like Sharon had indicated, I am with New Adventures for You. We are a new day service provider in the Greenfield area, and we are working towards community integration, full community integration, and allowing our folks to gain skills that are going to be helpful and necessary for perhaps obtaining a position in their chosen field. We work with all different levels of individuals, and so working with them to try and gain the skills that they will need to not only get the job that they're looking for, but work towards gaining skills that will allow them to become more independent in their daily lives. And so as folks are leaving a very supported environment of school, it's important that they have a smooth transition and are not spending a lot of time away from that support system, and they continue that education. And so with our program, we are working on everything from basic math skills and reading skills up through and including filling out job applications and working on building a resume. We are doing so by partnering with other community individuals and allowing them volunteer opportunities to explore a variety of different careers. So we do some of it within the building itself, and some is done working in volunteer situations. As things become more open, we'll be able to build more of those volunteer opportunities. In the meantime, we've been doing lots of community opportunities that kind of focus on what the individuals are interested in, but also provide learning opportunities such as nature centers and learning about different science pieces, as well as having an opportunity to explore skills in the community, such as determining a recipe. What are you interested in making? We're going to search those ingredients. We're going to go to the grocery store. We're going to make those purchases. They are going to utilize the produce department and the scales and weighing all those things out, as well as then going through that self-check line and paying, scanning and paying for those items and then bringing them back. And we have a full kitchen that we're then making those items. So they're having an opportunity to practice those cooking skills, the financial skills, as well as having some ownership in directing what they want to learn about. So, and as we become more integrated, we have partnerships with the Parks Department, as well as Agape Writing Center and the Hope Center, as well as a company that is allowing us to make dog biscuits and then selling those at local farmers markets. So trying to give them a wide variety of opportunities and experiences to kind of just enhance their learning. Learning is an ongoing process, and we never stop. So.
All right, Sharon, do you want me to go ahead and go, or do you want to stop and do something before I share my screen? You're muted.
If anybody has any specific questions for Sarah, go ahead and put them in the chat box, and then I can direct those to her. But Megan, if you want to go ahead and start, and then we can address some questions at the end.
All right, I am going to share my screen. Sharon, can you give me hosting abilities? All right, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Okay, awesome. Alrighty, so my name is Megan Stevenson, and I'm the director of Erskine Green Training Institute. I always like to start by just saying our name, because we hear it pronounced a variety of ways, and I get it. When you see that name, Erskine, I understand you don't really know how to pronounce it. So we hear it Erskine. It is Erskine Green Training Institute, and that's a mouthful. So for short, we just call ourselves EGTI. We are in our 6th year of operation. So we took our very first group of students back in January of 2016. So we have 5 years under our belt, and now are about midway through our 6th year. Some have been up and visit us in person. For those who haven't, we are located in Muncie, Indiana, just a few minutes away from Ball State University's campus. We are downtown Muncie, and we are located inside of this hotel. So this is a picture of our hotel, and I always, to make it easier for people to visually understand where we are or what we look like, I always say we are a school inside of a hotel. So we are on the first floor of this hotel. So when you walk into the front doors where the check-in is, right past that are double doors into our private space, which we have a hangout in there for students to watch TV and hang out. We have office space, a lab, classroom, meeting room. So we're kind of in our own little space within that first floor of the hotel. The students who come to us are out of high school. So we consider ourselves a post-secondary vocational training program. None of our students are still receiving K-12 services. However, somebody may apply to one of our programs while they are in high school. So for example, many of us applied to a college setting while we were still in high school, but we didn't begin our college years until we graduated. And that's the same with us. A student could apply to us while they were a senior in high school, but they wouldn't begin until they've officially exited the school. We do not care what a student left high school with. Did they leave with one of the types of diploma pathways? Perfect. Did they leave with a certificate of completion? Great. Did they drop out of high school? That's okay. Maybe they got their GED. We are not looking at what they left high school with as a determining factor when we are accepting students. We really are just concerned about their vocational skills. Do they have the skills required to be able to learn the job that they're wanting to learn and then go move into competitive employment? Students who are coming to us have to at least be 18. So again, similar when if they apply while they're in high school, they can apply while they're 17. They just can't begin a program with us until they are 18 years old. But there's not a cap on how old a student could be. So our oldest student has been 55. We've had a few students in their 50s. We've had one of these individuals was married and was a grandpa. So kind of think back to, like, I know when I was in college, I had non-traditional learners in some of my classes. You know, some of the older individuals who are going back to get a degree. Same with us. So it's just not the young ones right out of high school. We have a wide range of ages. However, our average age is 23 right now. And I know you guys are all in Indiana. We do take out-of-state students. So if you happen to know somebody who's out of state, or you happen to work with individuals kind of on the state border, we do take out-of-state students. Most of our students have all been Indiana residents so far, though. We've had 2 from out of state. We were supposed to get 1 from New York last year, but we all know how that went, and then how it went in New York. So he kind of put a hold on things for now, but we do take out-of-state students. A little visual, just some more information about the students coming to us. On the right-hand side is the state map, and if the county is green, we have had a student come from that county. So we have students come from all over. Again, think just like a traditional college or university. I went to Ball State. I had people from all over. That's the same with EGTI. It's not just for individuals who live in Delaware County. This is for anybody. And so, as you can see, we've had students come from all over the state to one of our training programs. We've had 216 graduates so far. And then we are dead even in regards to what students have left high school with. So we've had 48% who received a certificate of completion, 48% who had received a diploma, and then the remaining 4%, some had dropped out and some had received their GED. Application process. There is an application process to get into one of the training programs. We want to make sure we're doing everything we can in regards to screening applicants to make sure that we're accepting students who display the skills required to be able to learn the job. So on our website, there is an application packet that they would download. There is then an application checklist that kind of talks through the different documents that we want submitted along with that application. For example, a copy of an IEP, letters of recommendation, immunization records, criminal background check. So there's some additional documents that we want submitted along with that application. It gets mailed in, and then we schedule a 2-hour interview and assessment. This is done on site here in person. And the whole purpose of this 2-hour interview and assessment is just another step in our effort to try to make sure that we are accepting students who display the ability to learn the job. And then a letter is mailed home notifying them of their acceptance status. Now, if we deny a student, I always clump it into, it's going to be one of 3 reasons. Reason 1, their skills are not strong enough. So in that interview and assessment, we are not looking for or have the expectation that a student is completely independent on the job. That's, if they can already do it all, then they should just move into employment. We really are looking for what we call emerging skills. They have bits and pieces of what this job requires that lead our staff to believe that we have enough time. We have, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, we have a few months to train this job. And do you have a good foundation for us to work from, or are we starting from scratch? And so we really are looking for emerging skills. If we have a student who comes to us and has very little skills or struggles in the skills that are required, our staff most likely just aren't going to feel like this is going to be a good fit and that we're going to be able to get them to a point where they can move into competitive employment. So for example, we've had a student who applied for our inventory distribution training program. Math is part of the job. There's not enough accommodating that we can do that eliminates the math. And he could not consistently count past 10 when counting some medical supplies. And so he just didn't have the skills for us to feel comfortable accepting him into that program. There was a student who applied for kitchen cook training program, and he didn't even know how to hold the knife. He was holding it upside down trying to cut. And that's okay, but we only have a certain amount of time to train the job. And so we really want to make sure that we are taking students who show some emerging skills already in the particular job that they've chosen. Reason 2 would be for why we would deny a student would be physical inability to do the job requirements. And this has only come up with one of our training programs, patient transport. It's a physically demanding job. You are physically pushing patients throughout the hospital, on the hospital bed, on a hospital stretcher. You are part of a 3 or 4 person team where you are transferring a patient from the stretcher to the hospital bed, or the hospital bed to the stretcher. So you have to physically be able to do that job and do it in a controlled way where you're keeping the patient safe. And we've had a few students who've applied for this program who physically just cannot do it. They're either extremely like petite and little and just do not have the physical capability and strength to do that job safely. And we've had a student who didn't have use of his right arm and just could not manage the stretcher in the hospital bed safely. So reason 2 would be physical inability to do the job requirements. Reason 3 would be their behavioral needs are too significant for what we can support well here. So if somebody is needing one-on-one support for behavioral related reasons, this most likely is not the environment for them right now. And then all accepted students come to a new student orientation a few weeks before move-in. And the whole purpose of that new student orientation is for students to get to meet the other students, review all of the details, when's move-in, what should I pack, all of that type of information. So most of our students are living here on site for the duration of their training program. And I say most, we've had 216 grads. I would say we've had about 6 commuters. Everybody else has been living on site. So they're living on site in one of the hotel rooms. They can choose to have a room by themselves, or they can have a roommate. That is a decision that they make when they're filling out that application. Since they are here 24/7, we do have staff here 24/7. So Monday through Friday during the day, our full-time instructional team is here, and they are the ones going onto the job site, providing all of the job training. And in the evenings and the weekends, we always have 2 community living support staff here. And all of our community living support are Ball State college students. And so they are paid to come here in the evenings. And then we have a few shifts on Saturdays and Sundays, and they're here to support students, whatever that support may look like in regards to getting out and about in the community, maybe help doing laundry, running the washers and the dryer, helping get on the right bus to get to CVS to pick up med refills, helping come up with ideas of different activities that you can do on the evenings and the weekends. So that's the role of our part-time staff. And I always like to make it clear that this is not one-on-one support. So we have 2 staff, and they are here to provide support up to 20 students. And so it's not one-on-one supervision, it's general support, kind of like the role of an RA, except for our part-time staff do a little more than what an RA does, but kind of that type of structure. And then we have 1 person here overnight hours that is awake. They're not in a hotel room asleep. They are in the hotel lobby, visible to where they can easily be found should they be needed. Now, we don't do anything in regards to home and community-based waivers. We don't bill, we're not providing waiver services, but a lot of our students are on a home and community-based waiver. It doesn't matter what type. Oftentimes it's a family support waiver. We've had students on the aged and disabled waiver. So that is what they do with their services while they are here is up to them and their waiver case manager. Oftentimes they're putting services on hold, and then when they return home, those services resume. Many of our students oftentimes have a behavioral therapist, and we want that service to continue for consistency in this new environment. And so what that looks like may be different. We definitely have behavioral therapists that will drive here and meet with their consumer in the evenings. We have some that will just do like FaceTime or phone calls. Our staff will be in communication with the behavioral therapist. So that's one service that we would say should continue. But the other services are often put on hold. Now, we have had a few students that choose to use like PAC services or TO hours on the weekend just to help break up the long days on Saturday and Sunday. And in those cases, that's really just organized with the family and the waiver staff. You know, they might reach out and say, hey, just FYI, we're going to be coming on Sundays at 1 o'clock. And then we make note of that, but we don't help arrange those services while they are here. We have had one student who was on the aged and disabled waiver, and his physical disability affected him in a way where He needed support showering in the morning and some toileting support, and then in the evening. And so he had a nurse that was through the Asian Disabled Waiver, and she would come in the mornings, midday, and at the end of the day to provide some support. So we had some students who utilize waiver services while they were here, but overall, most of them are putting them on hold until they return home. We do have a part-time staff or a part-time nurse who comes here once a week, and she will do med checks. This is another thing to keep in mind. We do not manage medications. So if an individual is seriously considering EGTI, looking at their medication intake is something that you would want to start working on soon, because we don't manage that while they're here. They keep that medicine up in their room, and they are responsible for taking that when they need to take it. Our nurse will come up to their room once a week just to get a snapshot of, are they taking them, are they not? Are their pill bottles, are they running low? We need to make sure we have refills. She'll have her eyes on the medicine once a week. And then if students get hurt or sick, then she'll pop over or provide consultative services as needed. Our training program, so we do not call them majors, but when I'm talking to people, I will sometimes use that term because it makes sense to people, right? So when we went off to college, we chose one major based on our skills and our interests. That is the same for our training programs. We offer 9 training programs. Students would select one based on their skills and their interest. So our training programs are 10 weeks long or 13 weeks long. We have 4 training programs that are 13 weeks in length, and then 5 that are 10 weeks in length. So that's the length of time that they are living here on site being trained. Our training programs are clumped into 3 categories. So healthcare, hotel, restaurant. All of our students who are training in the healthcare environment are training at IU Health Ball Memorial Hospital, which is a few minutes away from the hotel. They still live here, spend their evenings and weekends here, but every morning they're walking 3 blocks down to the bus station, hopping on the bus, and then riding it over to the hospital where they train for the day, and then hotel and restaurant jobs. Now you can look at some of these terms and know exactly what it is. I think everybody has a good idea what a kitchen cook is required to do. Most people have a good idea what a host of a restaurant is required to do. But some of these terms are a little broader because we're using terms that like the hospital is using or the hotel is using. And so you might not really have a good idea of, okay, like what exactly does inventory distribution do? My child is choosing that. What is it that they're going to learn? So on our website, we have videos of all 9 of those programs. So you can watch that video and get a good idea of what exactly an individual is going to be learning during their few months here. There's also then written job descriptions and duties and responsibilities that you can see as well, but then the video will be right there as well. So it's a good opportunity to sit down with your child or your student or your consumer and watch these videos with them and kind of have conversations about, you know, what this job would require, employment opportunities around where you live. You know, if you really want to work at a hotel, but you don't have a hotel by you, then what does that look like? And kind of talking through maybe what some other options may be. Those videos can all be found on our website. Some individuals are coming out of high school and they know what they want to do. Maybe they are coming from a school where they had a lot of good work experience, or they've just been involved in the community and they've already had volunteer opportunities, or maybe they've had some part-time jobs. And so they know what they like and they know what they don't like, or they know what they're good at and what they're not good at. Other individuals we see come to us, they've had 0 work experience. And so they have no clue what they would like, what they wouldn't like, what they would be good at or not. And so we have career sampling sessions that we offer throughout the year. Now, career sampling sessions aren't a requirement. These are optional. Just like I went and did college visits. It's optional, but it helps you make a decision that's a good fit for you. So our career sampling sessions are offered throughout the year. The next ones that we have offered are July 28th, July 27th, and July 28th. That's on our website. And students spend a day here. And throughout that day, they're going to rotate through the 9 different jobs that we have to offer and our staff will do a modified assessment on them in each of those jobs. And so our staff will assess them doing 5 skills in each job. Based on how they do, they get certain points, and then we convert that to a percentage. So at the end of that day, they will leave with a 1-page document that has their score. You know, let's say they really want to do kitchen cook, but they scored 30%. Their interest isn't matching up to the skill set. And so it's something you want to think about. If they want to do kitchen cook and they scored 70% or 60%, okay, there's some emerging skills there. Maybe that is a good match. So it's an option. We normally do these 2 days, 1 day at the hotel, 1 day at the hospital, but the hospital, our staff and students can get in there, but they're kind of eliminating some of these extra things right now. But we have hospital equipment in our lab. We have a hospital bed and a stretcher and a wheelchair and inventory stuff. So we can do all of that here on site. So it's kind of a modified, normally it's 2 days. Right now it is 1 day, and hopefully we can get back to 2 days soon. But those dates and registration is on our website. The question that we get a lot, normally from families, is, oh my gosh, I don't want to send my son or daughter there. I'm nervous for them to be on their own. And so this is our approach to handling levels of independence in the evenings and the weekends. And so we have developed a community access checklist, and all students are assessed on all of these skills, and they move through the different levels as we see them display skills that we feel are necessary within each level. And then based on their level, it lets us know whether or not they can go alone or they have to have part-time staff with them. So level 1 is all about this hotel environment. If somebody knocks on your hotel room door, what do you do? If somebody approaches you in the hotel lobby, what do you do? And so we talk about what to say, what to do, we role play. And then we have people that we know that our students do not know. And these people help play strangers for us and assess really what would the student do. And from those assessments, we either see they're good, they knew exactly what to do, they handled it appropriately, we'll check them off on level 1. Or they left the stranger in their room. We need to keep working on this. We're not going to check them off on level 1 yet. Level 1 just means they can stay back at the hotel by themselves. If they're not checked off on level 1, they cannot. Part-time staff would have to stay back with them, or they would need to go with whatever groups are going out. Level 2 then is all about walking around downtown Muncie by yourself. There's a YMCA here that our students have free memberships to. There are some restaurants, there's some stores, there's pottery painting. Students want to walk there. Well, they can't walk there by themselves unless they're checked off on level 2. So level 2 is all about, what are your pedestrian skills like? You know how to get around to all these places and get back without getting lost? Do you know how to handle tipping? So there's restaurants on a meal plan that require tips. Do you know how to fill out the receipt and tip appropriately? We have a city bus. Sometimes city bus brings about people asking for a couple dollars. What would our student do if they were approached by a panhandler? And we use a father of one of our former staff to help play the panhandler role to really identify how the student would react in that situation. So once a student's past level 1, we check them off. We're then assessing level 2. Once they show us that they have level 2 skills, we'll check them off, which means they can go anywhere downtown Muncie by themselves. If they're not checked off on level 2, they can still go anywhere downtown Muncie, but part-time staff would go with them to ensure support. Then we start looking at level 3, which is mastering the bus system, which is called MITS, Muncie, Indiana Transit System. So do you know how to read the MITS book or the app on your cell phone? Do you know what side of the street to be standing on to catch the bus going in the right direction? Do you know what time your bus is leaving? Do you know what to do when you want off the bus? And so once we've worked through level 1, level 2, and we get to level 3, staff start taking students out and begin working on these bus skills. And once a student is showing that they have a good understanding of it, our staff will schedule a final bus assessment, and the student then has to plan a trip going to 2 different locations using 2 different routes, and they have to do it all within a certain time frame. And then if they can do that, they're checked off on level 3. So they can go anywhere in Muncie on the bus. Now, if students aren't checked off on level 3, they can still go anywhere on the bus, but part-time staff would go with them. So the level is only saying whether or not they can do it by themselves or if they need to have part-time staff with them. Evening and weekend activities. So again, it's just like college, right? You know, I went to Ball State. My RA didn't make me do certain things in the evenings. I got to choose. That's the same with our students. Our students get to choose what they want to do. Now, our part-time staff here help come up with ideas. You know, like this Saturday, there's a concert out in this outdoor area by the hotel. So we have that activity listed. The students don't have to go to it. You know, they can choose to go to it. Students like to go over to Ball State and go to their student center and then bowl or play air hockey or pool. Our staff can recommend that idea and say, hey guys, it's Friday night, let's go over to the Ball State Student Center. Students can say, yeah, I'll do that. Or they can say, nah, I prefer to go do something else. So they get to choose what they do, but our part-time staff help come up with ideas. We have mentors that students can have should they choose. Our mentors are Ball State students, they're volunteers, and they serve as community or fitness mentors. So if you have a community mentor, you are required to meet with this community mentor once a week, and you have to go out in the community, go engage in the community, go do something fun. Fitness mentor, similar thing. You have to meet with your fitness mentor once a week, and you have to go work out. You have to go do something physically active. So those activities take place in the evenings or the weekends. All students living on site have a meal plan. So it is a bank card. It looks like this white one, which I know is hard to see here, or it's blue, and it works just like a bank card. So this is what they swipe at we have about 35 approved restaurants on this card. If they try to swipe it somewhere else or try to make a purchase online, it gets declined. And so we have control over where these cards work. We have control over the limit that is spent on it. So that's what they use for their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They can spend it about 35 different places here in Muncie, anywhere on Ball State's campus, at the hospital, downtown Muncie. There's a little strip on Ball State's campus called the Village. Any of those places students can choose to eat at. Visitation hours. It's always something parents want to know. Can I come visit my son or daughter, or can they come home? The answer is yes. Again, just like college, I could go home if I wanted on the weekends. My parents could come up and visit me. It's the exact same thing. Program funding. So people always want to know, how do you pay for the program? We have had, there are 4 ways that people have funded or have paid for their programming here. Number 1, scholarship dollars. So this is always changing. It just kind of depends on what grants we receive. Right now, the scholarship pot of money that we have is from the AWS Foundation. And we are required to use those dollars only on individuals who live in one of the 11 Northeast Indiana counties. So that is, there's some restrictions on who we spend that money on, but it has to be people in Northeast Indiana. We've had individuals who just private pay. They've saved up money, just like they've saved up money for other children to go to college, and they have the money set aside and can pay for it. Most of our students are working with vocational rehabilitation, and if their employment goals align with the training program that we have to offer, then the VR counselor will kind of talk with the family of what this kind of training route would look like, and oftentimes is supportive of a consumer of theirs attending a program here. Work 1, so nobody has used this route yet, but I keep it on here. So some of our training programs are in the training programs through workforce development. Nobody has used that route yet, but there is some funding to cover for tuition in a route like that. We have had some students pay through an ABLE account. Now it's fairly new, so a ton of people aren't using it quite yet. But these particular students had a 529 account. Most people know what 529 accounts are. It's a way to save up money for your child to go to college. Now, we aren't offering a degree or credits. So because of that, we can't take $529. So these 2 particular individuals transferred their 529 account funds to an ABLE account and then paid through their ABLE account. I kept trust account up. Nobody has used a trust account yet, but many people have trust accounts and they're saving money in it, so it doesn't impact other benefits that they have. So trust account dollars could be used to pay for vocational training as well. Completion of training. So once students complete their training program, they are moving back to their hometown to obtain employment. Just like I came to Muncie to go to college, I don't live in Muncie, I live in Plainfield. So then I moved back to Plainfield to then find my first teaching position. Same with our students. They come here for the training, but then they're moving back to their hometown to then obtain employment. Now, most of our students, like I said, are working with VR, which means they are returning home to an employment consultant job coach. That person is then assisting with the placement and then following them along until they're stable. We do follow-up surveys post-graduation just to get a snapshot of what our students doing. So we do two, one at the 8-month mark post-graduation and one at the 18-month mark post-graduation. And our current data took a little dip after, with COVID, so hopefully it goes back up. But right now, our 8-month survey shows that an average of 77% are working at that 8-month mark. And at that 18-month mark after graduation, 80% are working. And then we sometimes get questions of, okay, now how many of those working are working in an area that they were trained in? So for example, if you trained as a kitchen cook, are you going back and working in that type of role? So of those 77% working, 87% of them are working in an area that they were trained in. There's more opportunities. I know that I feel like I'm flying through this today, but you can come up to EGTI. We have monthly tours that are in person. So we do a presentation and then a walking tour of the facility for every month. So you can find those dates and get registered on our website. We also have a visit day coming up on June 4th. And so that's a 3-hour visit. And you'll hear from a parent who sent her son here. You'll take a tour of the facility. You'll take a tour on the bus system. So there's a lot more that goes on for that visit day, but that information and registration is on our website as well. We do have a camp coming up. We are a week past the deadline, but we would take some people past the deadline if anybody is interested last minute. We have 2 camps this summer, and they are 2 weeks in length, and students are living here on site, or campers are living here on site for the full 2 weeks. They don't go home for those 2 weeks. So that's an opportunity if you happen to know of anybody who's looking for camps this summer. We're on social media, so if you're on there, you get a pretty good idea of what's going on day to day up here, so you can follow us on any of those different outlets. And then any questions, you can shoot them to us at info@egti.org. All right, I know I'm over my time. Any questions, you can either unmute yourself or throw it in the chat box.
Got any questions? We've got about 15 minutes or so until our allotted time is up. So, so Megan, do you recommend, that like all students come for they have to come for that assessment day?
So anybody who officially applies. So I am interested in the Kitchen Cook program. I complete my application and I mail it in. Those applicants have a 2-hour interview and assessment scheduled. That's required here on site. Right. Now that career sampling session, that is optional. Students don't have to come to that. It's for individuals who are like, I don't know if EGTI is right for me. We aren't right for everybody, and we know that. Some individuals want to go work with animals. We don't have any type of animal training program right now. So we get that we aren't right for everybody. So the career sampling session is an opportunity for individuals who, for really 2 reasons. One, you know what you want, and maybe you just want to come and you want to confirm that, yep, it is Kitchen Cook that I want. Or 2, you just aren't sure at all and you want to just come check us out. Like I went and did college visits at Purdue and Ball State, but I didn't go to Purdue. I went to kind of gain more information to make my decision. That's the same for our career sampling sessions. It's come see if we're right for you. Come check it out. And so optional, and that's for individuals for ages 14 and older. So we have, a lot of high school students come to that too, as they're just thinking kind of past high school, what do I want to do? Everybody's quiet on here.
Everybody's quiet. Any questions? We don't have a real large group, so if anybody's got any questions. Oh, Patty has a question. So Patty Grant, she works for Safari Home,
Safe and
a remote support assisted tech company, and she has an individual looking at your program and was curious if she could bring her remote support with her.
Can you give me an explanation of what, or an example of what you mean by remote support? I'm sorry, I haven't heard of that.
Looks like it would be a perfect program for her to utilize. So Patty, if you want to unmute, yeah.
Hi, it's Safe and Home. Remote support.
Okay, I see now. I was trying to put it together.
Yeah, I know. It's I see how I was like, oh gosh, okay. I have an individual in Central Indiana that's looking at your program, and she's currently using remote support. So remote supports was added to the waiver in July, and basically what that is it's like assisted technology, or it's like a DSP on a tablet, a virtual DSP. And we're finding folks that are transitioning out of high school, moving into their own apartment, or finding a training program like yours, they still need a little bit extra of that support. And they can take this with them anywhere in the state because it's covered by the waiver. So I just needed to put in my mind exactly what you guys offered, because I work with a lot of folks that are transitioning. So I can, speak now a little bit more intelligently when I talk to them. And it sounds like there could possibly be a need or a purpose for them to go ahead and bring that remote supports with them while they're there for that 10 or 13 weeks.
Yeah, so it sounds like they have a person on call available to them.
In a sense. They do. And, it's just to provide more independence and less supports for our individuals, which is what we're like all about, is trying to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, there would be no reason why somebody couldn't. We've had somebody have their service dog here as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that wouldn't be I wouldn't see that as a problem at all.
So Wi-Fi is obviously available throughout they have. Okay. Because that's the only thing really that we would need. And we also have like secure pill dispensers. So maybe somebody that's not as independent taking their medication, we have these secure, that we just unlock it at 8 a.m. and say, hey, did you take your meds? And then we lock it back up. So maybe there would be, some opportunity there. So great. Thank you.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty nifty medication structures. And somebody had maybe not exactly the structure you were talking about, but they had a locked circular medication structure, and mom had the alarm or whatever set, and she taught the nurse so it would move at the time he needed to take his meds, because he had a past of over medicating. And so
Right.
we've seen some pretty fancy medication setups, which is
Right.
fancy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, we aren't a tech company. We're all about person-centeredness, and we just find supports if we can dream it, we can support it, kind of thing. But it sounds like that she would be able to maybe take our services with her.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. This is awesome. We really need this in Indiana. I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Stephanie Barnett. I have a question. Are you planning on expanding your campuses to reach other parts of Indiana, maybe not just in Muncie, because it's quite a drive for some individuals?
So the plan, our long-term goal would be, yes, expand. But our long-term goal is not to expand what we're already doing. It would be to hit a different vocation area. So I'm making this up. There are zero conversations about what I'm getting ready to say happen. I always have to say that because I don't want people to run with it. So for example, let's say we open something up in Lafayette, right? In Lafayette, ag is a big thing. Purdue has a big vet school. So it would be to do something completely different. We would not go do a hotel and healthcare stuff somewhere else, because that's what this place is. So it would be a different vocational area. That is a goal. And there's always conversations about what that could look like and finding the right partners for that. There's just nothing set in stone right now.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sarah, my son is signed up to be at DDSI this summer. He's getting ready to start his last year of high school, but he's going to be 18 in June. So he's looking forward to some of your activities you have planned for this summer. So we're looking forward to seeing, you know, what other skills you can help him build.
Absolutely.
And then, you know,
Because it's important that we build on what they've got and bring them forward.
yeah,
And so giving
maybe
them
you can he can build some skills on yours, and then maybe you can do some training over with Megan, and
absolutely.
in the end.
Yeah. Use a little bit of everybody.
Right.
It's important that we all work together. So, but we are open Monday through Friday. And we've got folks who come, you know, a couple days a week. We've got others who are coming every day, you know, every day, Monday through Friday. So it's from 9 a.m. until 3:30. So.
Yeah. So your program could work, you know, after, if he ends up doing a training, he could go there, get his training, maybe work a job 3 days a week, and come see you 2 days a week, and still have 5 days of activity and not.
Yep. I have a couple who are doing that actually already. They have a job in the community where we're just providing some additional socialization as well as skill development. So.
Good. It's good to know you're flexible and you don't have to commit to 5 days.
That's tough. I mean, because there have been things that have been built for some other individuals, and you don't want them to lose those services because they're choosing to come to day service. It's nice to have an additional support system. So.
Okay. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we can end this very informative information, and everybody can go have a good day.
Thank you for having, I know.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For having us join.
And Sarah for sharing your information, and their information will be available on our Fuse sites, as well as if you need to reach out to them if you're not sure how to get a hold of them. So we can definitely get you in touch with them if we need to.
Absolutely.
Have a good rest of your day and a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.